before we jump in, if deep, raw, and real conversations are your thing, then press the subscribe button, press the bell icon, and stay with us on PGX Clips because we post our best content right here. I think chess, as far as achievement is concerned, is India's number 2 sport already. So it's cricket first, right? Like India will live and die by cricket. But as far as impact's concerned, we're already like really hot about chess. And with China, you'll see those guys will do gymnastics, those guys will play ping pong. They have a broader cultural range. And similarly here, like the order of sports is probably basketball, football, or football, basketball, baseball, and then anything else, soccer maybe. And then you go all the way down and maybe that's when chess figures. Maybe that's probably the reason that the culture is so broader, so much more to consume in America and China for sports as opposed to India.
And I see that because I'm a UFC fan, for example, and they're talking about the first couple of fighters from India. I'm seeing them for the first time, right?
In the UFC?
Yeah, in the
That's
UFC.
crazy.
And I can't even remember their names right now because I think maybe they have 1 win, 2 losses. They're just breaking through. But UFC is a super elite level, right? And they're not ready because if you fighters from US, fighters from Russia, fighters from Brazil, they have a long history. Hundreds of fighters to look up to. They have their equivalent of Anand, at the very top that they try to be like that. So yeah, if you're saying that it's cricket and then chess, that makes a lot of sense. Here we have, as you said, NFL, NBA, MLB, like 40 different sports, and then like 40 different jobs, and then chess. Look, there's no greater thing I point to than Magnus Carlsen won probably the biggest event of 2025, which was the Esports World Cup. Because for whatever reason, we don't contend for the World Championship every year, but we'll get into that. Yeah. He won $250,000. It was in Riyadh, big thing. Like the next week, Divya got some sort of like award in India for winning the Women's World Cup, $350,000. I mean,
you gotta love that when you hear
I know
that.
it's like Divya, Magnus, like who? Hikaru is making money playing chess and streaming, and then like who else? Like who in America is even breaking 6 figures? Which how can you? Just go to school, get a job as a data analyst in the US. Starting salary is like 80,000, and in a few years you're making 150.
Yeah.
So why would you be a chess player?
So it is true then the fact that because I wondered the same question from a meaning angle, which is something like this. So I don't want to name any grandmasters, but I am, let's say, friends with some of the top 50 people in the world thanks to just what I do, and I wonder if some of those guys find this like meaninglessness because they're so good, but at the very fucking edge, it's some kind of genetics or some kind of training in the childhood that like we all know certain people who will be top 30 but will probably never be the number 1 player in the world, right? And I've often wondered if you've thought about it as well, that there is a conflict with like the meaning equation in their head where they feel like, what am I doing? Like I'm 35 years into this and I don't think I'll ever be number 1. But then there's also a money problem, you say.
Yeah, so there's a money problem. But the thing is, historically, the way that chess has worked is you need to break into the top 10. That's it. Why? Because chess is not like tennis, where it's an individual sport where every tournament has qualifiers, and there's 4 major tournaments that you look forward to every year. They're all on TV. They're all sponsored by Rolex. They all have a rich history of over 100, I don't know how old Wimbledon is, but maybe 200 years or something, maybe 170 years. And once you know that ecosystem, you then know, well, the smaller tournaments flow into the bigger tournaments and they make points at the end of the year, and then you get an international ranking and you can show up to the US Open, qualify, and you're in the main draw. You have a chance. And that's how Emma Raducanu won a few years ago and became an international superstar, like in 2 weeks, In chess, it hasn't been like that. In chess, it's invitationals.
So you've got to be invited.
You have to be invited. Can you imagine such a system? Like, yeah, what if you're number 30 in the world? What are you doing with your life? You're never going to make it into the top 10 because you can't even play them. So what do you do, right? Now that's changing because of the online stuff. So now there's a lot of qualifiers. There's the Esports World Cup. There's
CCT.
Yes, CCT, which now I guess is sort of like reduced. But yes, you have your weekly tournaments online.
Right.
There is more money in the game generally. But if we're speaking strictly from the standpoint of playing the game and making money playing the game and being sponsored, it's basically what you said. I don't know if it's about meaninglessness, but breaking 6 figures for anybody outside the top 10 or 15 players in the world was probably impossible. Just impossible. until now if you add coaching, courses, content creation, and so on.
Right. We have barely scratched the surface with this clip. If you want to know all the fun stuff that happened in this conversation, you've got to go to our main channel. Click now.